So I've been thinking lately with my buddy Shroma, and we've been really pondering what it means to be a man, what it takes to be a man. Because a lot of the times it's misconstrued, it's misconcepted, it's seen as toxic or whatever because of people's experiences. And we're here to kind of set that straight as young men ourselves. There's always a step further into manhood. Manhood is not something you achieve, it's something you strive after. And that's something I think we all need to do, especially men, and this is for women too, because you need to recognize what being a man really is. It's not acting tough. It's not doing whatever you want when you want it, taking from people. The fish is still moving. But it's sacrifice. It's sacrificing your comfort. It's sacrificing, your desires, your ambitions, to a certain extent. Don't lose your passion, but you need to know when to take sacrifice, and you need to know when to hold on to what you've got. You got anything to add to that, man?
I believe some people just think being a man is no longer being a boy, but it's a lot deeper than that. And I've recently, very recently in my life, also came to this conclusion because I was also one of those people who just didn't understand the true depth of what being a man is. And being a man is not just being over the age of 18. It's many things, but what I want to start off with saying is it's also a good place to start is talking about morals and things of that nature. If you're not a reliable person, if you're a flake, if you just think, those are just examples, but if that's who you are and you think you can call yourself a man, you should reevaluate that and self-reflect, because being a man I believe it's being, I'm losing my train of thought here, but it's a lot deeper than that. It's being accountable. It's being honest with yourself and the people around you. And me and Shaggy have talked a lot about being a pillar to our own community, and that's a perfect example of what being a man is. Leading by example, showing what the right path is. And if you want to talk spiritual, religious, walking in the righteous path. I mean, you look at some of the most successful people, and a lot of them believe in God. And not everybody accepts that. Not everybody walks the path of Christ, but there's a lot of good advice in the Bible, and there's a lot of perfect examples of what being a man is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just fucking going everywhere with this, but
yeah, that's the whole point. It's a lot of the times we have these thoughts and we never emphasize on them, or we keep them to ourselves, when being a man is sharing your opinion, sharing your beliefs, standing strong for them, but also being willing to receive criticism and analyzing when someone is full of shit and when someone is actually talking, from their heart. And it's, sometimes you don't come to a conclusion. It's, as men, we want to solve things. We want to find an answer and fix things in relationships, in persons, in every situation. We want to come out a better person. And a lot of things he was saying, being a pillar to our communities, but we can't be a pillar to our communities if we're not a pillar to ourselves first. And that doesn't mean putting yourself before others, but that means standing firm in what you believe. And, a lot of the times what causes people to shy away from manhood is being uncertain in what they actually believe. It's hard these days to confirm and logically say, I believe this, because we think of belief as, something that we can't prove, something that we can't put into the physical. But if you yourself in your life act a certain way, people are going to perceive you a certain way. And if you start acting sacrificially, if you start acting strong, having confidence in yourself, not pride in yourself, but confidence, a lot of people are going to recognize that and see and you are going to lead by example. Sometimes when you're not even trying to lead, you know, a lot of people aren't meant to be leaders, you know, but if you feel like you are a leader, you have a responsibility, and you can either lead people down a horrible path and use their own insecurities for you, or you can use their own insecurities to benefit them and to show them the error in their ways, and also learn. Being a man is always learning. It's not something you constantly achieve. It's not a goal that you accomplish. It's an everyday task that you are never going to fully be a man, and that's why we should strive even further to become a man, because it's something unattainable. A true man is beyond all of us. You know what I mean? Got anything to add on that?
I couldn't have said it better myself. And I want to touch on a few topics that, you know, might be controversial or touchy or whatever, but I just had a fucking fish. Things like pornography, lust, pleasure. Like, me and Jeremiah, we used to be addicts, hardcore. We would do every fucking drug we could have. We both sobered up a few years ago, and that's taught us a lot of things. And we could have been completely different people if we stuck to that shit. And I mean, for example, pornography. If you want to sit in your room and fucking jack off all day, are you gonna ever make progress in your life? Are you ever going to understand what it means to be? Are you ever going to understand how damaging that is? Pleasure, like always constant, not just pornography, but drugs, parties, alcohol, women. I mean,
video games, even
fucking video games. Everything without moderation can be consuming, and you gotta really balance that. Like, you gotta have restraint, and you gotta have self-discipline. Self-discipline is something I'm still working on, because I'm trying to get jacked. I'm trying to work out more, and that is a lot of self-discipline, and that is something. It is so common that men nowadays lack that shit. And I mean, you see all these soy boys walking around, like, and like, I'm not trying to be fucking rude or anything, but I mean, you really, to be a man, you have to have restraint. You have to know when to stop and know when not to participate in certain activities. And certain activities will only make you weaker. People try to measure strength by physical strength or how strong somebody is. No, it's also how well you are able to resist temptation. And that touches back on things like pornography, women, drugs. And that's something a lot of people don't like to talk about. But as a society, if we really want to fucking open our minds, I mean, these are real life problems everybody faces every fucking day. And that's my take on it. Like, you really self-discipline. Like, if you are looking to be a better man, discipline yourself. Start working out, going to the gym, eating better. Do not watch porn. Find a woman and settle down with her. Don't go out and fuck a bunch of hoes. I mean, that's never going to benefit you, ever. You're only going to get either STD, or you're going to get your heart broke, or you're going to get your ass beat because you fucked some dude's bitch. And pardon my French, but that's just the truth. And this is some very valuable advice for a lot of young men. And this is something that we've learned from trial and error. We have real life experience. And I feel like, because we're just starting this stuff off, but people are going to realize that this is valuable. This is valuable information. And if you apply this to your everyday life, you will see a change. You'll be more happy. You'll be more confident in yourself. And, you know, like, going and getting a bunch of pussy, that's not cool. You're not going to be confident. That doesn't satisfy any real desire. Like, I mean, it might satisfy your lust, but
temporarily.
And it's going to leave you with a bigger void than what you started with. And I mean, yeah, that's some real shit. And I don't know a lot of people who will actually tell you that, but that's some real shit.
Yeah. No, and it's not almost, but it's not that we're better than other people, because a lot of people think manhood is being better than the man behind you. But being a true man is humbling yourself, even if those around you, you know, are further behind than you. You know, it's about sacrifice in every aspect of our lives, you know, denying ourselves pleasure, whether it's drugs, video games, you know, these things that put off the importance that we know we have to work on, the importance in, you know, relationships, the importance in hard work, the importance in all these things, because everything today is so superficial. You know, relationships are boiled down to a government contract where you have sex with this person and you promise not to, and I pinky promise I'm not going to. But in reality, it's much deeper than that. You as a man need to hold your promises. You need to not just make promises and like be look appealing. And being a man is about being open and vulnerable. And we're not saying this because we're better or we've figured it out. We're saying this because we're struggling through it right now. It's being a man is a struggle. It's not the absence of struggle. It's truly, if you decide to become a man, you decide to strive to become a man, because you're never going to achieve that. I don't think I'll ever be a man. I might be in other people's eyes, but to myself, I'm always going to be me, and learning that and trying to really, really focus on just bettering yourself. And if you better yourself, you are inevitably going to better other people.
Fish on.
Fish on, nice.
Little perch.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I don't think he's big enough to keep.
Right? Little sushi.
No. Perch are actually good if you get a big enough one.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good. But no, exactly. And it's, and a lot of it is patience. You have to be a very patient person to truly be a man, because a lot of the times people are going to yell at you, people are going to spit on your name, and you have to take solace in knowing that you have done nothing wrong. But if you continually sacrifice your desires for the flesh, you sacrifice your goals, your hopes, your dreams, and you just remain content with where you are, you're never going to be content with where you're going to be. And it's really hard, because everyone struggles, yet it's hard to open up. And if you open up to the wrong people who are still struggling with the same thing you are, they tend to spit on you. They tend to look down on you because they see themselves in you. If people mistreat you, it's because they themselves feel mistreated, whether that's from past trauma or whatever. It's hard to understand, and that's the thing, is understanding, and all these big words and all these ideas that we don't actually have a grasp on, and yet we try to strive to be better and try to understand those around us. But if you don't respect yourself, how can you get upset when other people don't respect you? It's one of those paradoxes. Is like, oh well, I'm big, I'm strong, look at what I've done, look at what I've accomplished. But in the grand scheme of things, you're still a boy, and you have to not rely on what other people say about you, in negative or positive, because they're still people. And what he was saying about Christ and all that stuff, whether you believe he died on the cross and rose for your sins, which is the more controversial thing, it's sorry, that fish is flopping a little bit. But it's the patience. I even lost my train of thought. And that's the whole point, is speaking and not being afraid to stutter. Because when you stutter, that just means you have more opportunity to find something else to talk about. And it's, don't talk too much, don't talk too little. But when you speak, make sure the words you say are meaningful. Make sure they have value. Because you could say the funniest joke in the world and then go home and be the biggest piece of shit. You could go and you could get the Nobel Peace Prize and still go home and cheat on your wife and all of these things and do drugs, and you feel shame. The thing that destroys manhood most is shame. And it's hard because we're all ashamed. And it's not the absence of shame, it's not the absence of fear and anxiety. It's powering through it regardless, because you may not show it to other people, but you're struggling. We're all struggling, whether you believe in God, whether you have it all figured out. If you think you have it figured out, you definitely don't. If you think you can't be manipulated, you are already manipulated.
I want to touch on that.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine had a great point. And this is talking about guitars, because as some of you may know, I'm a musician. And we were in a studio session, and he was talking about guitars and his knowledge with guitars, and he said, the more I know, the more I realize I have more to learn. And that is a very true thing. If you are full of yourself and you think you have nothing else to learn, you are not going to go anywhere. And if you are doing something like an independent business, it can range from music artist, independent business, anything that takes effort in teaching yourself. You got to realize that most of us know nothing, and there is so much room for growth. And if you think you know everything, I mean, you're not gonna go anywhere. And I also wanted to touch on patience. I hope that's okay.
Of course, of course.
So patience, as a man, you know, whether you're in a heterosexual or I don't know the specific word for being gay, but whether you're dating a dude or a chick, in marriage, it takes a lot of patience, and this is something I struggle with: being patient, being a patient partner for my woman, and it's a challenge, but it's an everyday challenge, and that's what encourages us to grow. You just have to know that you have to grow. You just have to understand that there is more room to grow, because if you think you're perfect, you're just going to stay stagnant. You're never going to become a better version of yourself. And as a man in manhood, that is I think something very important. And I feel like every month I learn a new lesson about how I can be a better partner, how I can be a better man, how I can be a better employee, a better music artist. And some other advice is just always seek to be a better version of yourself, because no matter if you think you're perfect, there is always room for growth, you know, and in all aspects of life. And that's my take on it. Can I have a beer? You care if I crack that open?
Crack that open. And you know, like, I try to look for analogies in life, and if you don't know what an analogy is, it's using the things around you, visual descriptions, to simplify issues that are non-visual, non-physical, you know, the mental. And I think I think fishing is a very good analogy for being a man, because, you know, you take the time, you go out of your way to go and hopefully catch fish. It should be in that pocket, the big one. Yeah. And you go out of your way, you go to a secluded spot. You know, we're in a beautiful area right now. Casting, being patient, you know, expecting to catch something, and it's not being disappointed when you don't catch something. It's getting back and saying, oh, I'm going to do it better next time. And while you're out here, it's that patience, and you have to be patient in life. Fishing is a lot like life. You have to be patient. And a lot of the times you're not going to get what you want. And you have to be content with that, because there's always tomorrow. And even, you know, technically there's not always tomorrow, but you have to live life like it is always tomorrow. You know, don't fear death. Don't fear these things. And even while you're being patient, you're doing everything correctly. You could be the best fisherman in the world, and you're still going to get snagged. You're still going to lose some lures. But at the end of the day, you have to hold on to what really matters, and that's the opportunities that fishing brings you, the peace, the reflection, the patience, the thrill of catching something, the thrill of achievement. You know, the fish are a lot like achievements, and sometimes you have a fish on and you're almost getting it to shore and it breaks off, and but you don't go home and cry and do a bunch of drugs because you didn't get what you want. I mean, you can. That's, you know, we justify these things, but that's not what being a man is. If you want to be a boy and you don't get what you want, go throw a fit. That's okay. But if you're actually trying to be a man, you're actually trying to better yourself, being a pillar to yourself and those around you. That's something I always try to repeat to myself. That's my motto, you know. I want to be a pillar to myself and those around me, because if you constantly give to other people, you constantly sacrifice, but you don't uphold yourself, no one's going to listen to you. People are going to see the things you do, and they're just going to ignore it, because you're not taking care of yourself. And they see that. People can see that. When you think, oh, no one understands what I'm going through, people understand more than you know, and they can see the physical attributes. If you're doing drugs, if you're having sex, they're going to see your wandering eyes. They're going to see that, oh, hey, he's getting skinnier. He's lost his spark. But, you know, we hide. Even though we convince ourselves that other people don't know what's going on, or they can't tell, and how would they understand, when you don't understand other people. You know, you don't even understand yourself. And I think that's where fear comes, is trying to understand yourself. And sometimes that comes with embarrassment. Sometimes that comes with this. And it's choosing the people you put yourself around. Whether or not, you know, you agree with everything, it's choosing who you choose to be around. Oh, there's bats everywhere. Yeah. I don't know if you guys catch any of these. I've seen multiple bats out there the second the sun goes down. Mm-hmm. But, you know, sometimes we talk in circles. Sometimes we get a perfect, clear, straight cut point across. But at the end of the day, we're talking, we're putting ourselves out there. And I think that's a lot of what being a man is putting yourselves out there. And you know, you may be scared of rejection, you may be scared of this, you may be scared of that, but here, 1 second. Here, train me bet. But yeah, see, exactly. In fishing, sometimes you need both of your hands, and you're still fishing, being patient. Have a brother next to you to take the rod.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
No homo.
No homo. But, you know, have a brother around, and he'll see your struggle. You know, he's snagged right now like I was a minute ago. But if I just, oh, I'm a man, I don't get snagged. I don't get caught up in this. We often forget that everyone does, and we lose our connection with those around us. And if we lose connection with those around us, how are we going to understand ourselves?
It's a beautiful metaphor.
Right? It's, you know, there's beauty in everything. And a lot of the times we ignore it and we ask, where's the beauty? Where's the childlike wonder? Where's that magic in the world? And it's not that it's not there. It's that you've chosen to ignore it. You've chosen something else. You've chosen porn, video games, and you get off, you know, 8 hours of video games and you go, man, I'm not content. But you're not willing to push yourself to be content.
Very well said.
And it's enjoy the rewards as they come, but all rewards, all achievements and milestones, all pleasure is meant for a time and a place, you know? And we want it every day, and that's not the point. We are supposed to want hardship. We are supposed to want to push through, you know? We push through so much. Why not push through for the right thing? Why not push through not only for yourself, which could be selfish, but it's also humble. You have to uphold yourself to the standard that you set for other people and yourself, because anyone can say a bunch of things. Anyone can talk and talk and talk, but they can't always say something. You got anything to wrap this up with? Any final thoughts?
You know, I just think this was one of my favorite topics that personally, I've never been included in one of these videos. This is my first time, but I do think that we'll be doing this more.
Yeah.
And this was one of my favorite topics, if not my favorite, because there was a lot to talk about. And this is something that so many young men are fucking lost.
And old men.
And old men. I mean, there's people who never really find themselves in, I mean, I'm not trying to say that I found myself, because it's a fucking everyday battle. And that's what it is. But this is just, I believe this is some very valuable information, and saying these things out loud helps me realize some of the things that I could be doing better at as a man myself. And that's also another thing, is being accountable. Always be accountable, and just stay true to yourself and others around you. And yeah, this was a great fucking video. This is a great conversation. I really enjoyed this.
I agree. And I'm like, to wrap things up, I know you have to set goals for yourself. And I've touched on this in other things, but sometimes you need someone to help you set a goal because you don't know where to start. And I want to set this goal for you. I want you to take a look at your life. Take a look at the things you do, your vices, you know, your failures a lot. Because men, our failures wrap around our heads. Like, I've stuttered multiple times in this speech, but you can't give up when you stutter. You can't give up when you get snagged, because that makes you a boy. Giving up is what makes you a boy, and if you give up, you are going to die. And if you give up, you never watch a movie where the guy gives up. You know, there's points in time where it's hard. You feel like giving up. You're allowed to feel like you want to give up, but if you give up, you've let down yourself, those around you, in your past, present, and future. And you have to live in the moment, but prepare for the future. And, you know, accept the past. Those three things are a lot about being a man. And we'll touch more and more on this topic, because you could talk forever about anything. But I hope you guys understood this, and I hope you guys gained something from it. And as it's getting darker, we're going to get back. We each caught a fish, which means today was
great.
successful. Sometimes we'll come out here and nothing will happen.
Yeah.
But we still come back out. Not because we want something, you know, but because we learn from our failures. I think that's the simplest way I can put it for you today. Learn from your failures. Don't let your past failures consume you. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. And I hope you have a good night. check out the Real Shroma on Instagram, and check out Shroma, Shroma, on Spotify for some beautiful music.
Thank you, brother.
All right, and that's all for today.
Have a great night. Thank you for joining us.